He has a PhD, and he's the director of the Centre de Recherche Interuniversitaire sur la formation et la profession enseignante. He holds the Canada Research Chair on Information and Communications Technology and Education. He's a full professor at the University of Montreal. He's published over 25 books and 300 scholarly articles in education, so a very busy man. His accomplishments have been recognized at the national and international levels and have earned him several distinctions, including the Whitworth Award for Best Education Research Center, the Canadian Association for Graduate Studies Award, le Prix du Ministère de l'Éducation, and the Hommage du Gouvernement du Québec Award. So please welcome Monsieur Karsenti.
Good morning, and thanks for coming here, and thanks for...
Bonjour tout le monde, merci d'être arrivé. J'ai préparé les diapositives en français, mais je vais parler pour la plupart en anglais. Je vais laisser un peu de temps...
concern for you sometimes, and if you have questions at the end, I'll be more than happy to, address them both in French or English. So, what I've prepared for you is about technology and kids. My goal is for you to better understand how it could be good for their education, but for you also to understand both the advantages and the challenges that are related to the use of technologies in education. And I think you really have to see the potential of using technologies for education. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come with challenges or sometimes problems, but it can be good at school. It can also be good for homework, and that's what my presentation will be about. What I'll do at the very end, I've prepared for you in both languages 25 recommendations for parents. These recommendations kind of summarize all the things that we'll be saying today. So 25 recommendations for parents, both in French and in English. Okay, so you'll have that at the very end. I'll leave a copy with Eve somewhere, and she's going to be able to make sure you all get a copy of this. So all these recommendations would be given to you. So just to start, just a few words about myself, just so you understand where I'm coming from. So I'm working at the University of Montreal. But before that, I was a high school teacher, and I've always used technologies in my teaching. I've started, in 1982. That's a long time ago. And at the time, the government of Quebec allowed students to make a loan, and we had 17 years to pay for our computer at the time. So I paid for my first computer for 17 years. It was 1984. I kept this one because it was so expensive at the time that even though I cannot use it anymore, but that's the cost of that computer at the time was $6,000. But $6,000 in 1984, it's the price of a car today, simply put. So for 17 years, so that's really when I started, because the first one, we didn't do much with that. We worked for 7 hours and we were able to draw a circle, which my mother didn't understand exactly why would we spend 7 hours just to draw a circle. She could do it with a pen. But anyway, so I moved from this one to this one. But ever since, I was fortunate to be able to use technologies both in my teaching and lately in research. And what I'm going to be talking to you is research done in other countries, research done in Canada, research done in some school boards, French and English in Quebec, in research also where we do, these are only reports that we publish on, that's the Eastern Township School Board, that's the, on the use of smart boards in education, things you've probably heard. But what we do a lot, we go into classrooms and we observe. We observe teachers and we observe students, and we see and we look at the potential of technologies. We look at the potential or how technologies can be interesting for education. So we visit many classes, and Again, I was also very lucky because I went to many communities as well. I went all the way to Arviat, which is like the farthest, I guess, I went up northwest. Arviat, if you don't know, it's west of Hudson Bay. It's really, really far. And I went to Chisasibi, Ujibugamo. I went to I visited many places. So, and again, it's not because you visit many places that you have all the answers, but I sat in classes and I looked and I talked to students during lunchtime, during class time and all that, just to better understand how they use technologies and how it could be interesting for their education. Why am I telling you all this? It's because what I'm telling you today, or what I'm going to be presenting, comes from studies that help me give sometimes guidelines to teachers, or today, for example, parents or educators. And those guidelines, I think, are important because they help you understand that technology, it's not evil. It comes with lots of potential, lots of advantages, and some challenges as well. And I think it's something as parents, as teachers, as educators, we have to understand. And I can talk again as a parent as well. I've got 3 boys, and they are each different, but I can tell you there's not one day where technology is not a challenge, not one day where they want to use their cell phone during mealtime and it's completely forbidden, and they're very good and very discreet at that. But, I'm very good as well at, if I see them looking too much at their, legs during mealtime, it's probably because there's a cell phone somewhere around there. Anyway, so the idea of these studies is to better understand the challenges, but also to be able to, so what can we do to face those challenges? Or what could we do to make sure the advantages are favored in school or favored during homework time, for example, at home? What is it as a parent you should be doing to make sure it's done? Before we get there to those strategies, I just want to say a few words about technology in our society. We're in a society where technologies are overwhelmingly everywhere, or almost everywhere. I was impressed, even in some remote communities, to see how technology is getting there. Of course, internet is slower in some communities, I do understand, but it's getting there. What kids are really interested about, they're interested about playing games, and they're interested about social media. They're not interested about learning yet. So one of the challenges schools are facing is to teach students how technologies can be a powerful tool for learning, for developing skills, a variety of skills as well. And these skills are important. Some basic skills that are very, very important. Being able to properly use Google, to understand where are the ads on Google and which sites are really related to the search that I did create. And Google is not something new. It's been around for 19 years. And I think they're right to be skeptical. I think it's a good thing to ask questions. However, the guy that created Wikipedia, and that's 15 years ago, James Wells, what did he do? Yeah, he started in his garage. He's not rich, though. He's not as rich as the other guys because it's a free encyclopedia. He was upset. He said, so many teachers tell their students that you cannot trust Wikipedia. And he said, I'm going to ask Nobel Prize winners to compare Wikipedia with the best paper encyclopedia. And he didn't do it himself. A scientific journal called Nature, it's the most famous scientific journal in the world. They conducted a study and they asked 49 Nobel Prize winners, not teachers, Nobel Prize winners. They asked them to compare Wikipedia with the most famous paper encyclopedia, which is called Britannica. What did the Nobel Prize winner found? They found that there are less mistakes in Wikipedia than in the paper encyclopedia. So teaching your kids to be critical is important. But Wikipedia, yes, there are mistakes there, of course. But it's not true that whatever is there is false. No. There's more truth in Wikipedia than there is in the most famous paper encyclopedia. And I'm not the one saying that. Nobel Prize winners are saying that. What are your kids? They won't go on Wikipedia unless they have an assignment or homework to do. That's the only time they'll go there. They won't go there otherwise. So teachers have to bring them there. But as parents, maybe you could, help your kids, use more often Wikipedia. And if you see something in your community that's not on Wikipedia, it takes 2 minutes to create a new entry on Wikipedia, to create a new section on something maybe that's in your community that's not present on Wikipedia. So maybe even go further and maybe convince the teachers in the school to get the kids to put something on Wikipedia. Now, what are the kids using after Google, Facebook, and YouTube? They use Instagram. That's really a social media that's becoming very, very, very popular with kids. Why? Because they like to share pictures of where they are. And some people share pictures of their breakfast, and it's really impressive, all the things they can share. I've got 3 boys, and 2 of them are really addict, and they're always on Instagram. And I'm like, why did you take a picture of your cereals this morning, Well, my friends will like it. And it's true, 4 of his friends, they like cereals. I'm like, wow. And what do they have? And he's showing me the picture. Well, he's having toast, and wow, so you're like, having breakfast all together. Anyway, so that's how kids are. So Instagram used a lot by kids. Now, there are other websites. Twitter, not much yet by kids. In the United States, Twitter is very, very popular. You all heard of Donald Trump. He's got approximately 15 million followers on Twitter. Another website that kids are using, and that's, as a parent, I am more worried about Snapchat, and I'll explain to you why. Snapchat, what it does, you share pictures. But you share pictures, but you put a time limit on the amount of time people will look at the picture you're sending. And I'm like, why would you want a picture to be sent and put a time limit on the time people, get to see it? What kind of picture would you send that, would not be there permanently, for example? So Snapchat, the people who created Snapchat, they were not mean. It was a university project for 2 students, except that, people like that, and kids, teenagers especially, they're really on Snapchat. Sometimes they don't realize what they put there. And they don't realize as well that with many phones nowadays, you can take a screen capture. You press the home button, and it depends on your phone. So what happens when you take a screen capture of a picture that's not supposed to last long? Well, the picture will last forever because you took a screen capture of that picture. So Snapchat, as a parent, I would worry, and I would maybe make sure that your kid knows, what he's putting on Snapchat. And just to tell you a bit more about Snapchat and social media and all that, at University of Montreal, we train physicians, doctors that, go all across Quebec, Canada. Now they have a course on social media and the internet. Why? Because nowadays, more and more, when people go see a doctor, they Google the doctor, okay? And what comes up first? Not their clinic, not what they do at the hospital. Social media comes first. So the course we have at university for, future doctors, we show them their pictures on the internet. And how we do it, we ask for their names, and and we Google their name, and we look at all the pictures, and we say, oh, you had a pool party last summer. And they say, how do you know that? Well, there are a few pictures on Facebook. Maybe not your Facebook, maybe your friends and all that. So, in all this, life becomes very, very public. And if they put something on Snapchat, sometimes it will last as well. So people have to be careful of what they put on social media, because it could last for a very, very long time. And try to write to Facebook or Instagram and ask them to remove some pictures. Good luck, you know. They're not going to reply soon. Now, there's another technology kids are using a lot. And in Quebec, the last study done by Rogers, and I know it varies from community to community, but teenagers in Quebec, do you know how many text messages they send per month? Average. Now, if you have kids, if they have a cell phone, I'm sure there's no cap on the number of text messages they can send. Otherwise, you would not be here today. You'd be working overtime. 6,300 text messages per day, per month, sorry, per month. That's an average. Now, that's a very interesting statistics, but it's not the worst. The worst part of their study is that kids, half of those text messages are sent between 9 and 4, Monday to Friday. What are they supposed to be doing between 9 and 4, Monday to Friday? What are they supposed? Aren't they supposed to be at school? So, and that's the latest study. It's June 2016 from Rogers. 6,300 text messages, half of them between 9 and 4, Monday to Friday. It means that your kids, if they have a cell phone, they text at school. They don't tell their teacher. Why do they text at school? I don't know, a variety of reasons. There's one thing, it's very discreet. See? So, text messaging is a technology that's overwhelmingly present in a variety of schools. My goal was just to give you, an overall view of the technologies that the kids are using. Google, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and some other sites as well, like Snapchat, for example. And besides that, lots of text messaging. And some kids, if they're lucky enough to have a smartphone, they can do all that from their smartphone. They can Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and all that from their smartphone. And when we'll talk about the challenges of technologies, I'll get back to those social media as well. So why should we use technologies in education? Well, we could say, like my former student, because our Prime Minister used to be my student teacher a few years back at McGill. He was a teacher for a few years as well in BC, because we're in 2016, so technologies are important. But I can tell you more than that. Technologies at school, it's important, and no matter what you do, there's not going to be less technology next year. It's always going to be more. So my message here to you today is find a way to adapt to that and find a way to feel comfortable with that, because there's no going back. Now, if we look at the research we conducted, if we look at the research that was conducted elsewhere, there are more than 40 advantages related to technologies. Advantages related to learning, advantages related to feeling good at school, other social advantages, and a variety of other advantages. But you have to understand one, it's not the technology that will help your kid learn or students learn. It's really what they do with it. There are more advantages than challenges, but it's really related to what the kids will end up doing with that. Now, the first advantage, clearly highlighted by research, learning. Kids do learn more with technology. And I have a short video. It's from Waskaganish. I'll show it to you in a few seconds. And many studies clearly highlight the fact that with technology, you learn more. Now, it's hard for me to explain why, a variety of reasons, but I thought I would show a brief video of this little boy. We had the parent sign a consent, so we were allowed to come to the classroom to film. I told you I was going a lot in classrooms and all that. And I want you to pay attention. He's using an iPad. Is lucky in the schools, that's what they have. And look at him, how intense he's going to be playing because he thinks he's playing a game. Look at that. What is he doing? Is he playing? He's 7. Now, he plays every day. Every day. And he's really upset when the teacher says, okay, enough. Enough math. Okay, we have to do something else. How does that translate into learning? Well, he takes a paper exam at the end of the school year. What do you think happens? Do you think his math skills are higher, better? Of course they are. With that app and this app here, the cost is free. And there are 10,000 levels. So whenever he's done, you see at the very end here, it says 21 seconds. So you can either change the level, go from level 1, which is only subtraction, addition, and you have all that, and you have 10,000 levels, plus you can improve your time as well. So it's not only going to more complex levels, but it's also the time that makes a difference. He plays a lot, and that translates directly into learning. It's really amazing how technology's changed the way students learn. Now, as a parent, I don't know if you realize, but there are so many tools out there that you can use or that your students can use. I talked about text messaging before. There's a website, it's in French, but they have the same thing in English. It's called SOS Homework. You can text your questions. In French, it's called Allo Prof, and in English, you have the equivalent. You can text your questions. You have a math question, you text that to that number. You have a French question, you have a science question, and you have other questions, and you text, and you get an answer. I mean, there are so many online resources, both for parents, kids, and teachers as well, that will really help your kids learn with technology. Now, I showed you this video. The impact for this kid is on learning is really strong. But if this kid was going to spend 2 hours on this PlayStation, would that have an impact on learning? 0. So it depends really on what the kids will be doing with the technology. Second impact, motivation. Try that in any school. If technology is there, kids will be interested. They have more fun. They think it's cooler. They like to have access to information. That's something they really, really enjoy. They like surfing. And one of the challenges for kids in high school, why sometimes many fail, it's because of their writing exam. There are free tools online, and this one is great because it's good. It's available both in French and in English. In French, it's called Bon Patron. In English, it's called Spell Check. It's free. You cut and paste your text there. The good thing is that it's not going to correct it right away. It's going to ask your kid questions. Did you put an S here? Or why did you put an S here? And you see, so my kids are traumatized. Oh, no, Dad, I don't want to put my text here. It's going to highlight all the mistakes. Well, that's... And slowly they're going to start learning because they're going to realize, oh, there are some mistakes. And here it's really cool. It's called a mouse over. So you see right away, it tells you, you have to write this like that because of this. So it's simple. It's made for kids. It's free. And if you want to know more, you can click on all the grammar rules that are available, but kids don't do that. They'll just look at, the brief explanation. And again, spellcheck.com or bonpatron.com, available in both languages, free. What your kids have to do, they just cut and paste their text, and it's helping them realize that they've made a mistake. We did a few studies on that. Clear link between the use of tools like that and more tools and the improvement of writing skills. They become better. They get ready for the final exams in secondary 2 and secondary 5 and so on. So if you want your kids to succeed, get them to write and to use a tool like spellcheck.com or bonpatron.com. Now, it's not because they use that they get rid of the pencil and the paper and all that. It's possible to do both. You know, it's possible to use a laptop and to use paper as well. Now, I want to show you another video of another boy, and they're lucky again because they have a tablet. And here, what he's doing, and you're going to see that in a few seconds, he's practicing for the secondary 2 end of the year final exam. Now, he is writing, and when I was young, I learned with my 10 fingers. That's how I was taught. And I thought that's the good way to learn. Now, look at this kid, and he's not playing a game again. He's writing, and he's practicing for his final exam. And look how fast he is with 2 thumbs only. It's amazing how they get better, but why is he so good? There's one major reason there. It's because in class, he said, my teacher, she's crazy. She makes us write every week. Well, he writes every week in class. He's typing 82 words per minute. That's faster than I can do. And I'm using 10 fingers, and he's using only 2 thumbs, and he's faster than I am. But still, why is he so good? Not because he played with his PlayStation for hours. He's good because he practiced. When we asked the kids, well, you all seem so good, but you're writing with your tablet. He said, well, my teacher, she's crazy. You know, she makes us write every week. You know, why? Well, language arts teachers, that's what they should be doing. You know, get kids to practice to write and, you know. Technologies are good. Also, one of the other, I'm not going to go through the 40 advantages. I'm only going to go through some of them. For some kids are not going to finish high school, but still, learning technologies at school or at home will better prepare them for their future. There are so many jobs out there where if you know a bit about technologies, you either get a better job, or you're better at your job, or you can hope for a better job. And there are so many jobs now where technologies are involved. So I think your kids, they need a basic on how to use the technologies, not how to use a PlayStation, how to use technologies to learn. And I think doing it at school and doing it at home if you can, it's a good thing. It's going to better prepare them for their future. Now, I mentioned Wikipedia, but using technologies at school or for homework, I think it's also a good way to develop critical thinking for students. They have to realize that not everything that you see on the internet is true, not everything is false, and they have to understand how this works. And really, when they're going to see like the news on the same thing, and the things are so different, and they're going to start wondering who's saying the truth. Well, they're going to start thinking, and that's what you want. You want them to be critical thinker about what's going on the internet. Why is it so important in education? Because we want kids as well to use technologies in a good way, ethical way. And if we want to do that, we have to teach them how to do that. They have to practice, and they have to practice at school. I said I was not going to go through the 40 advantages, way too many, but there are 40 advantages: learning, motivation, and much more. What you have to understand is that there are lots of advantages. The potential is there, but all these advantages are really related to how the kids will use technologies. And it's really what they do with technologies that is really going to make the difference. Now, I mentioned that there are some challenges. Challenges or problems. If someone is telling you, oh, we're going to implement technologies in our school and there won't be any problem, don't believe them. They're trying to sell you something. There's always a challenge. There's not one school up north or anywhere else in Canada or elsewhere in the world. And I'm going to give you an example. Many schools across Canada are using tablets, iPads, and other technologies like that. Now, people would like you to believe that right away everything is good. I mean, we observe so many classrooms. And I remember last May I was in Nemaska and they received their iPads and everybody was so happy. And the teacher prepared, all the teachers prepared great lessons and all that. What were the kids doing with their tablets, do you think, during school time? They discovered that there was Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and other games available. So the teachers were teaching and the kids were elsewhere. They were in a class, but they were doing other things. So it's normal that there's a challenge at the beginning. And the biggest challenge, I would say, is distraction. How can you focus on what a teacher is saying when you see all those messages on Facebook, so those things on Instagram? It's a challenge, and teachers have to get used to that. And they have to find ways to fight that distraction. And again, I mentioned cell phones. Cell phones, it's very discreet, but kids do text a lot. Do you really think they pay attention when they send 3,000 text messages during class time? No, they don't. So, and just to give you an example how difficult it is for kids, but I'm not saying it's impossible. It's a distraction, but after some time, it's possible to control it. Now, we visited a class in Montreal, in a very poor neighborhood, and we wanted to evaluate the effectiveness of some apps to learn math. And the kids were young, they were 6 and 7, and we taught them how to vote. Simply put, if you like the app, there's a smile. If you don't like it, a sad face. So it's, you know, simple for kids that are 6 and 7. After we were three in the class, 17 students. That's a small class. After 10 minutes, we lost control. Nobody was listening to us, and they were young. Now the teacher said, she said, it's because you don't know how, you don't know what to do with kids like that. You have to ask them to put their hands behind their ears when you're talking, so they're going to be listening to you. I said, okay, let's do that. Now look at that picture. He's the boy, the first one with the gray t-shirt. He's paying attention. Hands behind, he's looking at me. Look at the girl beside. She's not paying attention whatsoever. And look at the boy over there. One hand behind and the other hand on the tablet. Even when I got close to him and I told him, please pay attention, he's not listening to me. He's watching his tablet. He's even laughing, not at me. He's laughing because there's something going on there. So distraction is a challenge, but it's not only a challenge for kids, for school. It's a challenge for everybody. University of Montreal. You all think they are really, really serious students. We did conduct a few experiments where we placed cameras behind the class. They were fully aware that there were cameras, fully aware. What are they doing while the teacher is teaching? They're on Facebook, they're on Twitter. That's a screen capture from the camera we placed, Faculty of Medicine. It's a course on anatomy where the professor is talking about the heart. We think it's important for doctors, Here, that student is watching another video, not related to class. See? And just to give you another example, that's where I work, that's my faculty, and whenever I go for a coffee at a coffee shop downstairs, I also have a smartphone, and I take pictures sometimes because it's a classroom and I take pictures, and usually what you see full of Facebooks, and that's what you see. And I looked at this guy here. What is he doing here? And this guy never saw me. So I open the door, I walk in, and I take a picture, and I see he's watching basketball. Wow. He's got his iPad, he's watching basketball, he's got his cell phone, and he's got the University of Montreal newspaper. He's not giving any chance to the teacher. That's it, He's coming to class, and he doesn't want to learn. So distraction is a big challenge. But what happens when you use technologies a lot at school? Kids become more responsible. And I think that's a key skill that they have to learn at school. They have to become more responsible. And there's only one way to become more responsible is to try it at school. And of course, at the beginning, it's going to be a great challenge. And then as a teacher, you know you have to walk around. And whenever I give an assignment, I'm never standing up. I'm always behind the class. I want to see their screen. I don't want to see their faces anymore. I want to see what they're looking at. So, and sometimes you can tell them, you know, put your tablet, computer down or whatever. So distraction is the main challenge teachers are facing. They face other challenges, but distraction is really one. Now, I said I want to give you that, but I think maybe as parents, sometimes you wonder, how can I keep up with all that's going on with the technologies and all that? Well, there are many ways to keep up. And I think one thing you could try, and again, it's probably the most popular tool in the United States now for parents to be aware of what's going on in technologies and all that. Many parents and more parents are now on Twitter. Why are they on Twitter? And I'm going to explain to you why. What is Twitter? Twitter, it's a way to send messages that are very short, okay? But as a parent, if you're overwhelmed, it's a cool thing because you stay in touch and you know you're never going to get a big thing to read. It's a very, very brief message. So it's a strategy that's not requiring a lot of time. So why is it good? Because people sometimes are overwhelmed. And if you ask them to spend too much time to do something, it's almost impossible. Twitter is cool because it's 140 characters. It's not 140 words, it's 140 characters. And most of the tweets, they come with a picture and they come with a link. And if there's a picture and a link, how many characters is that? 80 characters. It's something you read in 10 seconds. 10 seconds and you get news about education and you stay informed. So all these, the two documents that I prepared for you for today, 25 recommendations for parents, both in French and English, I'm going to put them on Twitter to see if you want to go there and try to download it. And you see, it takes approximately 1 minute to get an account on Twitter. It's something very simple. It's not complicated. And again, it's going to give you, I think it's going to give you a tool to stay in touch. And then you're going to start following people who are either in technologies or maybe in other field that you're interested in. And just beware, because when you follow people, make sure you follow people who are giving you the information you're looking for. One other document that I will display on Twitter later on, just after this conference, which tools or websites are very, very good for homework. So I've highlighted 16 tools, including spell checker that I showed before, that are really, really good for homework, for kids. What are the tools you should have, as a kid? So again, Twitter, it's very simple. You go there and you follow the people you want. It takes 2 minutes, but I think it's worth it. I want to say just a few words about technologies and homework. And again, I'm going to upload on Twitter the list of 16 tools for homework and technologies. But I just want to go through some of these tools as well, because I really think that technologies can be a good thing for homework. And there are many, many ways to use technologies. And I talked before about Allo Prof, the idea to text messages and to get answers. You have a question about English, French, math, whatever. You text it there. And I tested it many times. You text there, you get an answer. The people answering are very polite and they always find the answer to your question. And I told you about the spell checker, but there are many, many, many other tools that you can use. If you have young kids, maybe you want to get them to be faster on the keyboard. And there are many apps that help them practice on the keyboard to be faster. Your kids are interested in math and computer science, for example. Khan Academy is available both in French and in English. It's free. All the things I'm showing here are free, completely free. If you're not sure how to search information on the internet, it's another document I'm going to upload for you on Twitter. How to search on the internet, how to understand how it works. It's a simple document, but it could give you guidelines on how to, make sure you're not wasting your time on that. And there are so many tools that can be used. Now, if you have teenagers and they're too often on Facebook, I'm going to give you a trick that I'm using with my own boys. It's free of charge. It's called Leech Block. Leech Block is really, really cool. Unless you're a Facebook addict yourself. What it does, you block Facebook, but you decide when you block it. So you go on Leech Block, and I tell my kids, so 5 to 6:30 homework time, no Facebook. Otherwise, they're always on Facebook. So we program Leech Block. It takes 2 seconds, and it's free of charge. And we say that from 5 to 6:30, Facebook is blocked. You can block more than one. So now we block Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, just to make sure the kids are paying more attention. So they know it's going to be blocked. We decided together. Are they happy? Not at all. But it's a good thing. So they're fully aware that between 5 and 6:30, they're not going to be on Facebook. And it's a good thing for them that sometimes, they should take a break from Facebook. Now, what happens at 6:30? They're like, boom, on Facebook right away. But at least I've had, 90 minutes before when the kids paid more attention to homework and to other things as well. Now, what I would do as a parent as well, if they have a smartphone, they're going to be on Facebook. They are going to find another way. So maybe you want to put their phone on airplane mode, not just maybe take their phone for that, homework time and all that. So there are many, many ways that you can use technologies, and there are so many resources available. NetMath is a great online tool. It's available on computers, tablet, and all that. It's a great online tool to learn math, and it's really, really interesting. Kids, they feel that they're playing a game, and for them, it's really, really great. And I showed you one math game before with the little boy from Nemaska. But there are many, many other games where kids will become better at math just playing with that, just playing with those apps. Just one last tool I'm showing, but again, all these tools will be on the list of 16. Sometimes kids have to share large files because their teacher asks them to create a video, a presentation, whatever, and they don't know how to send it via email. There's a cool site, it's called ge.tt. You can send any file, no matter the size, and it's going to send it for you. And you don't have to be a member or anything. You just go there and you send your file. So many, many tools that are very, very useful for homework. I know I said I'm going to leave some time for questions, and we're almost done. So overall, I would say that the advantages of technologies, there are many more advantages than challenges. However, it's not the technologies that will help your kids learn more. And I guess that would be your goal. And again, it's not only learn more, they're going to find school more interesting if they use technologies at school. But it's not technologies that are going to make a difference, because I see so many kids playing games during class time. It's really what they're going to be doing with it. And I think as a parent, you can play a key role there. I think you can play a key role in helping your kids use technologies in a way where they will learn more. Not using technologies only to play and socialize, but really to learn more. And why not? Maybe to promote their culture as well. There are so many, I'm just going to say a few words about a project we have. We are using a site called Book Creator, and we are creating books in a variety of First Nation languages. And book creator, anybody can create a great book that looks very nice in just not even an hour. So technologies are very, very powerful to learn motivation, to promote the variety of cultures as well. But again, it's really how kids are going to use them. That's really what's going to make a difference. Now, I encourage you to try Twitter, okay? And I'll make sure to upload all the list of documents I promised, 16 tools or technologies that are good for homework, as well as the recommendations for parents, both in French and English. So thank you very much, and I hope you have questions or concerns that I can try to answer, okay? So the floor is yours. Do you have questions, things that you're worried about, things you're not sure? I'm sure as a mother or as a father also, you have questions about technologies. Yes, sir. En français.
Just a curiosity question, I guess. Do you think technology will make teachers obsolete in the near future? And is it good for society and economics?
Three things, okay. My opinion is that with technologies, I think teachers and parents as well are more important than ever. There are so many things going on. Kids need help there. And I think we have to play, we as parents have to play a key role there. And I think teachers are not going to be obsolete because all the classrooms that I've visited, no matter where I go, if the teacher is not there, the kids are going to start playing games or going on social media. It's not true that kids are going to start going on Wikipedia and start learning, not at all. Is it good for economics? I think it is. And just to give you an example of a true story from Chisasibi, this boy didn't really like school. He wasn't very good at school, and he didn't like school. It didn't help. But then he had this art teacher, and this art teacher had them create a video with a tablet, and it's very easy with a tablet. And this kid who was not good at school started creating videos, and he was very, very good with video. Now if you Google, his company has 29 employees. He's based in Montreal. It's called Minority Media, and he's creating videos for a variety of people just because he learned that skill at school. Now, did he finish high school? No, he did not. But still, he learned a skill that's helping him financially, helping him have a good job, but he's helping others as well. I mean, Minority Media, if you go there, you'll see his personal story. And again, because of a teacher who convinced him that he could do videos, he learned at least one skill at school. So you said economics, I think it's got a good potential. And no matter what you do, I think there's this other example as well. This guy is coming up with a bed and breakfast. How are you going to make sure that your bed and breakfast is going to be seen elsewhere and all that? And so for the people who come in and want to book a room and all that, well, he learned how to create a website at school. So because of that skill, he was able to create. One, two. See, I told you. So, learning to make a website, he did that at school as well. So, yes, maybe we'd like all the kids to finish high school. But even for those who do not finish high school, I think they can learn skills that they'll use all their life. So, now is there a danger with technology? And you see in that list of recommendations, yes, there is a dark side. There are things that maybe kids will sometimes meet people you would not like them to meet. My boy 2 months ago was playing on his PlayStation because they're allowed on the weekend, and he was playing with somebody online. And I asked him, "Who are you playing with?" He said, "I have no clue." What, you're playing with somebody online and you don't know who that is? So yes, we have to be careful. And out of those 25 recommendations, there are 8 that are related to security and all that, and you can go there and look at all these things. But I think overall it's a good thing, and I don't think teachers will be obsolete nor parents with technologies. Thank you, sir, for your question. Any more questions, concerns, comments, or 2 minutes before lunchtime? So yes, go ahead. You can speak. There's a mic here. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
In French is okay?
C'est parfait.
Okay.
Through the technology, the whole technology thing that we just went in, they say that it could be a support for teaching and so on. But when it comes to culture and identities in our schools and with early childhood services, it's also very important to not ignore language, culture, and identity. I know that there are tools that give ways to teach language and so on, and there are some communities that have that in their own sites. But how can we? I'll answer your your question in French because I've been talking English the whole time. I like your question. If there's no framework or no guidelines for technology, the children are going to be going to be consumers of culture, not necessarily cultures from your community. Quebecers, for example, are going to be going to be absorbing culture that comes from the States or from elsewhere. So what are we going to do? I would think that primarily in schools, technology comes with a culture responsibility also. We can't just be consumers of cultures that come from elsewhere, but we have to use it to promote our cultures also. Yeah, there is a danger there in there's an access that's so easy to culture elsewhere. They say we're going to lose our cultures, but I don't think so. I think there's something you have to look at a more positive way in saying that we're using this technology. I can promote my cultures in ways that I've never been able to do it before. I talked earlier about I went to Abitibi-Témiscamingue, for example, and even farther north on 117, and I was able to do a lot of different projects in Chibougamau and so on. But first of all, they have a lot of projects where they do books in their written books, and with technology they never go quite so far in promoting their cultures with technology. I don't say that the risk is not there. The risk is there, but I think you have to look at the positive point of view. And at the same time, if you look just at the risks, we're not going to take it into school. It's not true that the students are not going to be using it on their phones and so on. I think the school has to take advantage, has to do that. I told about a book called Book Creator, which is a fabulous application. They took elders in the communities, for example, and they did interviews with them. What are traditions for hunting, or for this or for that? And they basically immortalized all this into books. And it's seeing with pictures and text, and it's really able to teach people how to hunt and etc. And people who would have forgot a lot about the general culture as a whole are now able to consult this. And you have to really look at the advantages for promoting culture rather than knocking the fact that you're doing it also different cultures. I talk a lot about working with iPad, for example. I forget this gentleman's name, but I'll come back. His first name is Charles. He specialized in developing something on a tablet for all First Nations languages. He comes from North Dakota. He speaks French too. But he worked with the Cree in the North Bay. He does it on all tablet for all First Nation languages, not just English and French, and was able to put on his tablet all these different languages. And it's very interesting because it helps the child really to learn his own language. And I think for culture, it can be very important, extremely important. And I think a school, to introduce this technology, he has to, at the same time, be aware that if we don't do anything for culture, then it can also be negative. So we have to develop a program to really encourage using your own cultures and rather than just learning other people's cultures. I don't know whether that answers your questions.
Or before lunch. Je pense que vous avez faim. Thank you very much for your time.